So let's talk about the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus. So the pituitary gland, also called hypophysis, is attached to the undersurface of the hypothalamus. It contains two main parts, the anterior and posterior pituitary glands. The pituitary gland is known as the master gland because it secretes many hormones and controls much of the endocrine function of the body. The hypothalamus secretes its hormones into a network of capillaries that connect the hypothalamus with the anterior pituitary gland. These connecting capillaries are called the hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system. Thus, hormones secreted by the hypothalamus flow through the portal capillaries to the anterior pituitary. So the anterior pituitary gland. It is also called the adenohypophysis. It secretes 6 major hormones which affect many organ systems and is often called the master gland, as we said. So the 6 hormones are prolactin, ACTH, your gonadotropins, which are follicle-stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone, thyroid-stimulating hormone, and growth hormone. So let's talk about the growth hormone. It's also called somatotropin or the somatotropic hormone. Its primary effects are on the growth of bones, cartilage, and skeletal muscles, thereby determining a person's size and height. It causes amino acids to be built into the proteins. It stimulates the conversion of protein to glucose, and it causes blood glucose levels to rise. It stimulates the kidneys to reabsorb salt, potassium, and chloride. It reabsorbs calcium and stimulates the liver to produce insulin-like growth factors. Growth hormone is secreted during periods of exercise, sleep, and hypoglycemia. Hypersecretion causes gigantism in childhood, and in adult it causes acromegaly, where the nose, hands, feet, and eyebrow ridges enlarge. Hyposecretion in childhood causes dwarfism. Prolactin. So prolactin is also called the lactogenic hormone. It stimulates the growth of the mammary glands and production of milk after childbirth. So as long as the lactating mother continues to breastfeed, prolactin levels remain high and milk is produced. Your tropic hormones. So your thyroid stimulating hormone, the target gland for TSH is the thyroid gland, stimulating it to secrete 2 thyroid hormones. You have ACTH, which is your adrenocorticotropic hormone. The target gland is the adrenal cortex, stimulating it to secrete steroids. The target glands for the gonadotropic hormones are the gonads, or the sex glands, which are the ovaries and testes. So the 2 gonadotropins are follicle-stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. So FSH, it stimulates the ova, or the eggs in women, and sperm in the male. Your LH causes ovulation in females and causes the secretion of sex hormones in both men and women. In men, it is also called the interstitial cell stimulating hormone, ICSH, and secretes testosterone. The posterior pituitary gland. So it is an extension of the hypothalamus. It is composed of nervous tissue and is therefore called the neuropophysis. The 2 hormones are produced in the hypothalamus and transported to the gland. The 2 hormones are ADH and oxytocin. So your ADH, it's released by the posterior pituitary gland in an attempt to conserve water. The primary target is the kidney. ADH is released in response to a concentrated blood and decreased blood volume, which both occur in dehydration. Other triggers are stress, trauma, and drugs such as morphine. And alcohol inhibits ADH secretion. The absence of ADH causes diuresis, and the person may excrete up to 25 liters a day of urine. This is called diabetes insipidus. ADH also causes the blood vessels to constrict, thereby elevating blood pressure. Because of this BP elevating effect, ADH is also called vasopressin because it increases blood pressure. Oxytocin. So the target organs are the uterus and the mammary glands. Oxytocin releases in response to the neuroendocrine responses, signals from the nervous system. It stimulates the muscles of the uterus to contract and pitocin to initiate labor. It stimulates the release of breast milk, called the milk letdown reflex. And in males, it helps move the semen along, So oxytocin is known as the bonding or relationship hormone. So let's rethink. Why is the pituitary gland sometimes called the master gland? Because it controls many other endocrine glands. Number 2, what happens in the hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system? Hormones secreted by the hypothalamus flow through the portal capillaries to the anterior pituitary. Number 3, list the 6 hormones secreted by the anterior pituitary gland and 2 hormones secreted by the posterior pituitary gland. So the anterior, it secretes growth hormone, prolactin, thyroid stimulating hormone, your ACTH, your FSH, and your LH. And the posterior, it secretes your antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin. Number 4, describe the influence of the hypothalamus on both the anterior and posterior hormonal secretion. The secretion of both the anterior and posterior pituitary gland are dependent upon the hypothalamus.